So you growing up in Stateway, what organizations was over there at the time?
So at the time when I grew up, you had two organizations at the time. I was a shorty when I came off the porch, as they say. You had the Dale Vikings and you had the GDs, Gangster Disciples.
Okay. How did that work out?
So I came from the Dale Viking part, coming up, like the thing about it is, so you had the Dale Vikings that was centered on 35th. So Dale Vikings probably ran, at the time when I was coming up, they controlled the majority of Stateway at the time. They was the majority. You had the GD buildings, but they was mostly going towards 39th, and then everything that was coming off 35th was Dale Viking.
So when you say the number wise, how many would you say was on count for the Dale Vikings at the time?
So you look at a building, and roughly, if you have 3 buildings, and you could at least count 75 individuals out of each 17-story. So, 150, that's 200, then probably 50 out to 10 stories. So roughly the Dale Vikings probably was 200 to 400 members at the time.
Were the Dale Vikings anywhere outside of Stateway?
Not when I was coming up. Now, as I did my research back when they was first developed, they was from state to the lake. But when I came up in the early 80s and 90s, it probably was just Stateway Gardens and the side blocks. You might have Wabash or something like that, but it didn't really go that far. It was just basically us against everybody else on the low end.
And man, and Dale Vikings, man, I remember hearing them about them when I was young. It was like a niche clique. You heard about them, but you really didn't see them like that. Because I'm from out west.
Right.
But you heard about, man, the Dale Vikings, they da-da-da-da. And then today you don't hear about them at all. What happened?
So this the thing, just like any other smaller group, if you don't expand, you eventually, you get swallowed up by bigger groups or you'll join other groups. So in 1992, we joined the Black Disciples.
That's what happened. 1992.
Yeah, 1992, August 8th.
August 8th. Now, how would you know the exact date?
Because because it was a traumatic experience for me, because when I learned that my fellow guys joined the Black Disciples, I was actually incarcerated. So you got to look at when you loyal to something and something is inside you and your people make a choice, that's trauma and memorial for you. So I remember sitting in the joint and reaching out, and my guys telling me they decided to go this way. And at the time, me didn't understand it, but you got to look at the things that was in play around then, especially on the low end. By that time, the GDs was the majority and they was a powerhouse. And so we had, a lot of animosity, a lot of wars, a lot of lives had been took and things of that nature. So, one of the things that happened with us as Dale Vikings, it imploded from the inside. So we had a lot of our guys that eventually went GD. So that's why it's like some of our buildings that was on 35th, we had whole buildings that had decided to go that route for whatever their personal reasons. I can't say what their personal reasons was at the time, but, like at the time, it was a growth thing, and gangs had started morphing into organization and concepts. And as being Dale Viking, we didn't do that. And we had a lot of infighting, a lot of older guys that we looked up to that was offering the drugs. And the GDs, I guess, was just more attractive to some of the youngsters around at the time.
Let me ask you, so y'all the enemies of the Dead Vikings or the oppositions of the Dead Vikings were who?
So at the time, we fought the GDs because that's what's around us. And at the time, the low end always had different mobs and different cliques. But by that time, GDs was they was making their moves, and they was like, man, I'm gonna keep it 100. They was just standing on dudes like, man, plug in or plug out. This is what it would be. But that was really the thing with us. What was our undoing? Our undoing was we had guys amongst us who was Judases. When I say a Judas, if I grew up with you and slept in the bed with you, and then I go to the people that we used to fight, it weakens me because now the same person I'm against is now, it's like saying the fox is in the hen house. It's like it's difficult to overcome that because these are guys who know everything about you, and now they put the guy who you was into it with right next to you. We had buildings, and now you got a whole building that was once, the GDs was off another end. So now you got a whole building that was once friends that I slept with, I fought the GDs with, but now they're with the same people now that I fought. So it was so much as like, it was a situation where it was real volatile down there at that time. Because you got to look at it like a lot of these people ain't just people that's we from the same organization. They cousins, they brothers, they uncles. That's difficult now because this your cousin, but your cousin with people that's trying to hurt you. And now it's like, man, ain't no love lost. It's getting ugly because guess what? They know all your secrets and things of that nature.
And this was around what year did this?
This is like late 80s, early 90s.
Okay,
Leading up to us joining the Black Disciples.
gotcha.